And the mayor has appointing authority and can do that. I understand that. But my concern is, according to the Alabama municipalities attorneys, that even though the mayor appoints or hires and makes contract with an employee, the council then should vote to pay that employee. And so I want to make sure that we're not handling situations inappropriately, because we've just recently had a new employee who was a former council person who is now an employee of the city, since we have all been placed on the council.
He's not an employee. He's a contractor.
Okay, now, we have not, as a council, voted to pay that young man, or that person. And he replaced another employee on that same job.
This same guy you're talking about has got 20 years law enforcement experience, 20 years in the Air Force. And I hired one guy under contract for $10 an hour, and he took the job of 2 people. He filled the position of 2 people. I was able to take the guy that was driving the van, give him back to Jimmy Warren and Craig to work him at the street department. And I hired him for $10 an hour. I mean, he's done an outstanding job. Not only
I'm not saying that he hasn't done an outstanding job, Mayor.
Not only is he doing a good job, he's also delivering lunches on his lunch break to senior citizens that can't afford to cook their own meal.
That's not my issue with, is not whether this person is or is not doing, in all honesty. My concern is that as a council, when you're going into a contract with individuals, whether it be it an employee or a contract for or an activity or something going on within the city, that we need as a council to speak as well on that, because finances are going to be exchanged for that purpose. And I mean, the employee drives home a city vehicle within 2 miles of the facility he works from. There are other municipal employees that would like their own vehicle to drive back and forth to work. Those are some things that I think are political, and I think that I rather than say that we continue in that pattern, I hope that the council, whether we have to put it into a form of a vote later on, I hope that the council realizes that if we can't handle HUD money, then we might need to look at how we handle city municipal monies. And I think, I beg, for all of us to be on the same wavelength, that we cover ourselves. We had a situation most recently where we've got a well-respected person that we all have come to appreciate and respect through the years working in our community and providing funds and various things. That person will serve federal time and paid over right at $2 million in legal fees as well as fines. I don't believe I have that kind of money in my little bank account. And however we need to do to protect ourselves as a council, as a city from the legal fees that would be involved, we've got to figure out how to do that. And if HUD says that they're concerned to the point where they're stopping any expenditures being handled by you, I think that we need to think about all contracts being handled by the council rather than you being able to, until you get everything clear, because everybody has their day in court. But until that's clear, I think those contracts should come before the council for a general vote, be it employees or anything of that nature. I would like to see a list of the contracted employees that did not go through personnel board requirements, be it anybody, whatever their length of term was. Those are the kind of things that, there are a lot of, I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of deal going on, and it appears that way. Whether it is that way or not, it would be something that I would love to see the council as a whole look at from each individual decision. So, maybe the attorney could address that with us and let us know if we, from what you were able to research about the HUD issue, how do we stand with our local municipal funds as well?
Well, I mean, the HUD suspension doesn't have any direct relationship to the city funds. I mean, I hear your concerns, about how the council may look at those funds, but there's no restriction because of the HUD suspension.
Only if we allow a restriction as a council, would it be? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd have to look at that. I don't know that, there are certain powers that the council has and that the mayor has by law, and I don't know that you can,
Well,
look, I don't know if the council can impose that restriction.
I do know that for contracting an employee, there is it has made it to the Alabama State Supreme Court. It has been ruled that the mayor cannot go into contract unless the council ratifies, or not ratifies, unless the council votes to pay that employee's wages. And that has happened as a natural routine in the last administrations on up to this date. And, you know, I just think that with that being at the Supreme Court level, the particular municipal employee or mayor involved ended up paying the contract himself, because that's what they ruled, that the city didn't have to pay it. So if that's the case, and I understand that has, I got that direct from League of Municipalities. So I want to make sure that we, you know, until we get this resolved in the federal courts, that we aren't setting ourselves up for more attorney's fees in the long run.
And I'd be happy to look at that particular case if you want to, because a lot of times these cases are really fact specific. So I'm more than happy to look at that if you want me to before the January meeting.
Yeah, definitely. We need to make sure that that we don't have any more discourse in the situation in the mayor's part, that he's not held any more responsible than what he absolutely has to be, that the legal ramifications of it all do not reflect on the council itself, and that our citizens don't pay another dime out for legal fees when we don't have to. That's the kind of thing that's wrapping up our whole budget. I mean, everything we look at comes up, and no disrespect to Misty here, but you know, our attorney's fees out at the Housing Authority. And I hope Mr. Danforth is able to speak shortly, because, you know, maybe perhaps you have something that you can address to this council and give us a better vision of what's going on out there as far as what you think would work. I can tell you from being on the housing board that it doesn't always work out the way that you think that it does. It takes a lot of information coming across the board. For these contracts, I really would like to see addressed. If there are any questions about that, you know, we might address that later on. I'm sure you might be thinking about that. The other thing that I had brought to my attention today that I need to bring forth, Chad is working diligently to get our web services back up.